Nyemcsik. Garlicki has been instrumental in the growth and organization of U.S. rhythmic gymnastics. She has been involved at all levels: athlete, administrator, coach, judge. She attended her first international judges class in 1976 and went on to earn her international brevet status. Nyemcsik, who served on several national rhythmic committees, proposed developing written rules, which resulted in rhythmic's first operating code and rules and policies in the early 1980s. She has judged many domestic and international events, including the 1996 Olympic Games. She continues to be very involved as a judge and is a technical representative to the National Rhythmic Administrative Committee. Ladies and gentlemen, for lifetime achievement, Garlicki Nyemcsik.
I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame Committee and those who nominated me for this honor. I've been in this sport for 39 years, and I have to thank my parents and, of course, my husband for putting up with me all this time. There were many times when I was traveling and I needed a lot of support from my husband and my family. So I, of course, have to say thank you for all of these years of support. When I started rhythmic gymnastics, I started at a time when it was beginning and becoming organized in the country. And at that time, the USA Gymnastics in the late 60s, they had asked Mildred Perkal of Illinois if she would go to the World Championships and observe the competition, come back, and start organizing the sport in the United States. Mildred accepted this great challenge, and she came back and started to recruit people from different parts of the country and asked them if they would be willing to help her organize. Now, where would you find somebody in the United States when the sport doesn't exist? Well, she contacted people with foreign backgrounds who had knowledge of the sport from Europe, because the sport existed in Europe, but not here. So she decided to hold a camp at the Sokol Villa in New York in 1970, and actually she held about 2 camps. And the purpose of the camp was to introduce the sport to coaches and educators in the USA. And she recruited the clinicians, Maria Provoznik of the American Sokol Organization, and a Hungarian Olympic coach from, who was in the United States teaching gymnastics. She may have visited several clubs in the USA teaching dance for artistic gymnastics. And so, along with Mildred, these became the first clinicians at the first camp that was held for competitive rhythmic gymnastics in the USA. And after these camps, the hope was that the participants would start teaching classes at their locations when they went back home, and then eventually come back and participate in competitions that Mildred was about to organize. Now, Mildred recruited other people from other parts of the country to help her, and Andrea Bodo-Schmidt from San Francisco was one of those people, and Nora Vayed-Hitzel from George William College was another person she recruited, and Helena Greathouse. These were some of the first people who judged and helped to organize the sport in the United States. I was first introduced to the sport when Maria Bacchus decided to settle in the New Jersey, New York area and start classes, regular rhythmic gymnastics competitive classes in the new sport. And that was at the American Sokol Organization in Little Ferry. I was an artistic gymnast, and well, I thought I was in pretty good shape. And I went along with my sister to Maria's classes, and we, worked out a little bit, and we thought, gee, this is an interesting sport. I kind of like this dance. And then we went a few more times, and then I was getting a little bit sore. And then after a few more classes, I was walking out of there like this, discovering muscles I never even knew I had before. But Maria was such a joy that I couldn't help but go back, and I started getting hooked on this new modern gymnastics sport. So then at that time, Maria moved to New York and I followed her. And I started taking classes, and I drove every week to New York and started to compete. And the sport was small in the early years, and I can remember competing at a competition, a regional competition, and then sitting down and judging at the same competition. Sometimes we wore 2 or 3 hats in that sport. And it was kind of a family type of a sport in those days. And I can remember going to a meet in Georgia that Cindy Bickman held, and I was a judge at the time. And after the competition, we the judges became kind of an entertainment for the competitors, and we performed in skits, and of course, then the gymnasts were able to enjoy us. And from then, let's see, I can remember that I was in national competitions, and eventually making the US team. And Wendy Hilliard was one of my teammates on the group team. And I got to know many people in the sport over the years when I was judging. And today I'm still judging. And of course, after 39 years, I guess you could say rhythmic gymnastics is my passion. So I continue contributing the best way I can. And I look forward to continuing and contribute in the future. Thank you.